welcome to our channel Anything Medicine. We're starting with pharmacology series, and the first topic we're discussing today is adrenergic drugs. We're dividing this topic into three parts. In the first part we'll talk about adrenergic transmission, the second part we'll talk about adrenergic receptors and adrenergic agonist drugs, and the third part we'll discuss about adrenergic antagonist. So let's start with adrenergic transmission. So to understand about adrenergic transmission, we have to learn about the adrenergic system. So adrenergic system is a part of a sympathetic nervous system of the autonomic nervous system, right? Which mainly deals with three catecholamines: adrenaline, noradrenaline, and dopamine. So let's see how these catecholamines are synthesized, how they are transferred, how they are metabolized. So synthesis of these catecholamines takes place in the liver. In the liver we have an essential amino acid called as phenylalanine. This phenylalanine under the enzyme hydroxylase gives rise to tyrosine. This tyrosine is then sent to the adrenergic neuron through a channel called as sodium dependent tyrosine channel. Inside this channel, this tyrosine is then converted into L-dopa by an enzyme called as hydroxylase, the same enzyme which we saw here. Same enzyme, tyrosine is converted into L-dopa. And this L-dopa under decarboxylation and enzyme decarboxylase gives rise to dopamine. So an information before here is that we have a drug called as tyrosine. So this drug, what it does is that it inhibits conversion of tyrosine into L-dopa. Why we use this drug mainly is that which circumstances we use this drug mainly. So we know a disease called as pheochromocytoma. It's actually a tumor. This tumor presses on the adrenal medulla, which causes release of more and more catecholamines in the blood. So when we give this drug inhibits the conversion of tyrosine into L-dopa, and which also stops the synthesis of the rest of the catecholamines, because of which the symptoms of pheochromocytoma decreases. So let's move on, right? So we saw till the conversion of dopamine. So what happens to dopamine is that dopamine then is sent into the synaptic vesicles. Inside the synaptic vesicles, this dopamine undergoes beta hydroxylation. Important point: dopamine undergoes beta hydroxylation and gives rise to noradrenaline. This noradrenaline, after undergoing beta hydroxylation, is stored inside the synaptic vesicles until there is an action potential arrived. When an action potential arrives, there is influx of calcium channels. So this noradrenaline is released into the cytoplasm and then into the synaptic cleft. So so we saw the synthesis of noradrenaline, right? But what about adrenaline? So normally noradrenaline is synthesized in the adrenergic neuron, but not adrenaline. Adrenaline is mainly synthesized in adrenal medullary cells. It's an important point, many people make mistakes. Adrenaline is mostly synthesized in adrenal medullary cells. The same step happens in adrenal medullary cells, but one step is missing. Like when the noradrenaline which is stored in the synaptic cleft is released into the cytoplasm. And in cytoplasm there is an enzyme methyltransferase which converts noradrenaline into adrenaline, and they are stored there. In adrenal medullary cells there are mostly 80% of adrenaline and only 20% of noradrenaline present. So this is the synthesis of the catecholamines we saw. So how they are released, this catecholamine, how they are released, this noradrenaline and adrenaline, how they are released from the adrenergic neuron. So there is a process called as exocytosis. It's a main question they ask in exams, like through which process this catecholamines are released from adrenergic neuron. So the main process which takes place here is exocytosis. So what really happens is that action potential arrives, there's influx of calcium channels. This calcium channel trades noradrenaline with noradrenaline through the synaptic vesicles. Noradrenaline is sent to the cytoplasm, and from the cytoplasm to the synaptic cleft. And in the synaptic cleft, noradrenaline binds to the alpha or beta receptors, about which we'll discuss in the next video in detail. So this is a transmission, right? But when there is prolonged transmission of noradrenaline, it's not good, because it gives prolonged sympathetic activity. So there has to be a mechanism to reuptake the noradrenaline or to degrade it, right? So one is through metabolism, which we'll discuss later in this video, and one more is reuptake. So there is three ways of reuptake of these catecholamines. So the first is axonal reuptake. So what happens in axonal reuptake is, like, we have a channel called as NET channel. It's a sodium dependent channel. So when noradrenaline is released inside the synaptic cleft, So not too much in amount. So what it does is the noradrenaline is taken up by through sodium by this channel and is sent into the cytoplasm. This is axonal reuptake, and this axonal reuptake method is inhibited by a drug called cocaine. So when a person takes cocaine, he has a prolonged sympathetic activity. Why? Because it blocks this channel. Why mainly this channel is important? Because this channel this channel or this uptake method is very important, because 80 to 90% of adrenaline or noradrenaline which is excreted by an adrenergic neuron is reuptaken by this method. So it's very important. And when cocaine blocks this channel, prolonged sympathetic activity we can see in a person. And the next way of reuptake is vesicular reuptake. So vesicular reuptake, here we have like a channel called as VMAT2. So this VMAT2, what it does is that we saw like the NET channel helps to take the noradrenaline from the synaptic cleft to the cytoplasm, right? But this VMAT helps in taking noradrenaline from the cytoplasm into the synaptic vesicles. So it's very important, and it also helps in maintaining the balance between the adrenaline in the synaptic vesicles and the cytoplasm. We have another enzyme called as MAO, which also maintains it, but it metabolizes it. But it doesn't metabolize the noradrenaline. It takes noradrenaline and it keeps inside the synaptic cleft because synaptic vesicles, because too much adrenaline in the cytoplasm is not good. And this channel VMAT2 is inhibited by a drug called reserpine. Very important. It's inhibited by a drug called reserpine. And the third way of reuptake is extraneuronal reuptake. Extraneuronal reuptake. We have third way of reuptake is called extraneuronal reuptake. This type of reuptake doesn't have much of a pharmacological importance, but it's still as considered as a method of reuptake. So here we saw an NED channel, right? In axonal method we saw NED channel, but in this case we have an ENT channel. And this type of reuptake is inhibited by a drug like corticosterone. It's inhibited by corticosterone. And a point here is that axonal reuptake takes more noradrenaline than adrenaline. Well, through reuptake method it takes more noradrenaline than adrenaline, but extraneuronal takes more adrenaline than noradrenaline. Again, axonal reuptake takes more noradrenaline than adrenaline. Extraneuronal takes more adrenaline than noradrenaline. So we saw the method of reuptake also. So this is the one way of taking in or reducing the effect of catecholamine action by reuptake. Another way is by metabolism. So when we come to the topic of metabolism, there is two main enzymes which is very important. One is MAO, which is monoamino oxidase, and another is COMT, catechol-O-methyl transferase. So when in the cytoplasm, as we said, when there is too much amount of adrenaline, noradrenaline present in the cytoplasm, MAO plays a major role. Converting noradrenaline adrenaline into VMA. What is VMA? VMA is vanillyl mandelic acid. So and the catecholamines which are released in the blood, adrenaline and noradrenaline which are released in the blood, they undergo action of this enzyme COMT, catechol-O-methyl transferase, and is converted into metanephrine and normetanephrine. This metanephrine and normetanephrine then undergo with the same enzyme MAO, monoamine oxidase, and gives rise to VMA. This VMA then combines with glucuronic acid and then is secreted through urine. So we discuss about the synthesis. We discuss about the synthesis of the catecholamines. We discuss about the way they are sent into the synaptic cleft and the way they are transmitted. We discuss about the reuptake and we discuss about the metabolism. So this is all in general about adrenergic transmission, and about the receptors and the adrenergic agonists we'll talk about in the next video. Thank you very much.